Well, hello everybody. Pastor Andy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be with you. As we come together this morning, I just want to jump right in. Yesterday, I started this new lesson, going from dark to light. We talked about this passage from the book of James, which we'll reread here in just a moment. We all know that life presents difficulties along the way. But what if we look at them as opportunities? Now, you may say and may be thinking, well, I don't like that. I don't like those hard moments. I don't like those difficult times. But if we'd never had any of those, what would we have learned? Everything's about our attitude. Everything's about the way that we embrace things. While God gets no and derives no pleasure out of seeing his children have hard times, just as none of us do as parents, it is those scratched knees. It is those bumps and bruises. It is those tears that allow us to grow. It is those moments. It is that seed dying in the soil that allows it to burst forth with a bloom, with a vegetable or fruit or whatever. In the hard time, in the moment, it's very difficult to see that. But I want us to think about what James is saying here. We're going to reread James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, and it simply says, My brethren, he's speaking to his fellow believers, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. How could that be a joy? What he's saying to us is look at it from the other side. Don't look at the difficulty. While that's the obvious, what can I learn in this moment? What benefit can come from this? And it may not be mine. There's where we get back to the deny yourself lesson we went through. The difficulty that I'm going through, the benefit of it may not be for me. It may be to be an example to another. We don't always think of it that way, but James goes on and says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. The trying, the testing, the growing of your faith. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect, entire, and wanting nothing. I said yesterday, when you step out of the dark, two things happen, especially in the natural. You can see and you can be seen. Okay? I talked about, during my law enforcement days, many things happened under the cover of night that they didn't want to be seen because obviously we're trying to hide it. But I want us to look at this today as we begin this lesson from the spiritual side of things. We often talk about, and I teach quite a bit on living out our faith. That was the last part of our invitation series, Come and Get Out of the Boat. That is literally stepping out in faith as much as anything could possibly be. But also, we could look at that from the concept of letting it be seen. In other words, bringing it out of the dark, the hidden, the under the bed, the in the closet, whatever the case, that we let it be seen. It is a visible thing. It is an outward, not just expression of words. It is a lifestyle. It is who we are. Darkness has to be exited. It has to be exited in order to be seen. So in other words, if I'm in a dark corner somewhere, there's no light, there's no visibility. If I want you to see me, I've got to come out of that. Back in the day, during the fun moments of professional wrestling. Now, I don't keep up with it anymore, but back in the day, even when I had a chance to dabble in that and others, one of the more exciting things was not knowing who was coming out. This was the days before the music and all the pomp and circumstance of the pageantry that you see now. But as a fan, if you were anticipating who's coming out of that dark corner, where the lights have been dimmed and the crowd is just growing with anticipation. Who's going to step out? And there was just something special about that moment. When we reveal our faith, when it is lived out, as Peter getting out of the boat, when it is, all these other examples we could go through, it is seen by others. And it's not to say, hey, look at me, but it's more so to say, look at him through me. In other words, I trust him enough that I want everybody to see that, to know that they can too. You see, in the light, we see growth. We do. That's in the natural and in the spiritual. In the natural, we see plants and trees and flowers and all. They all grow when they get nourished by the sunlight, and they get fed and they get strengthened. And when we enter into the light spiritually, of course, we're talking about the light of Christ, we experience the same thing, friends. We're able to grow. We're able to blossom. We're able to flourish and prosper. When we stay under the cover of dark, when we stay in that state of, oh, I don't know, we don't get anywhere. There's times that something has to pry us out of that. There's times that something has to take us beyond that realm in order for us to be able to understand that. We've talked about in other lessons, and it's just some of those things that just has to be repetitive. All of us, if we have lived long enough, if we've lived any length of time, there is a very real reality. And that's that sometimes along the way, some bumps are going to come. Some of them are self-inflicted. Some of them come at the hands of others. But all of them hurt. All of them are difficult. No matter whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, they all hurt. If we go through this text, though, which we're going to do almost in a word-by-word basis, I want us to see what James is saying. He's taking a very, very unique approach to understanding this subject of hard times. He says, find joy when it happens. Really? How was that even possible? I think we'll see as we spend these next few days together and looking at coming from the dark into the light. He tells us in this passage that if we'll understand there's a point to this, we may not get it right to begin with. There's a purpose here, if you will. He tells us that while those bumps, while those difficult moments are coming, this darkness, this time of difficulty may in fact be our greatest moment of victory. It could be the prelude to that, because much like the old song says, and I'll readdress this later too, but it's just on my mind, if I'd never had a problem, I wouldn't know God could solve them. I wouldn't know what faith in God could do. You see, friends, if we could figure it all out, we wouldn't need anybody else. If we were that intelligent, if we were that smart, we wouldn't need God. We wouldn't need each other. We wouldn't need the Einsteins and the Edisons and all the others along the way that would say, hey, this is how that works. Because we would just be our self-contained thing. We would, if we never had an issue, if nothing ever went wrong, okay, that sounds wonderful, right? That there's never an issue. But there's never a challenge either. Learning how something works is part of the process. If everybody could pick up an instrument and play it, then the Jerry Reeds and the Chet Atkins and the Jimi Hendrix of the world would never stand out, because their talent is enormous. If everybody could speak, if everybody could sing, if everybody could teach, nothing would be different. And this is not about putting someone on a platform. This is about we have challenges in order to grow and learn. But what is our attitude about that? Oftentimes we get very disgruntled about it. We don't like it because it's hard. Again, my illustration, going to the gym, by the gym, very, very different. If I'm going to commit myself to going in to get in better condition, then the old saying is no pain, no gain. It's going to hurt. The muscles are going to be sore the next day. Things are going to get stretched. You're going to sweat and on and so on. So, but the results of that is you're in better condition, visibly and medically. You know, all the other ways, everything's better. Sometimes this darkness, sometimes these challenges can be the opportunity for our greatest victory. Again, we scratch our head at that. We think, how in the world is that possible? How could this difficult moment in my life, how could that ever prove to be anything good? I want us to take these next several lessons, and I want us to minister to one another. As I minister to you, I pray that you would take this and minister to someone else as we look at this, as we look at going from the dark to the light. Most of us at some point in time in life have obtained, or we certainly own right now, some type of insurance: car, home, health, life, whatever. However, having those policies don't prevent any of the issues that could come that they cover, right? Having the policy in place doesn't mean that you're not going to have a house fire. Having the policy in place doesn't mean you're not going to have a car crash or, a heart attack or whatever the case. It is the preparation in the event that they come. Okay? So think about it from that perspective. This verse from James is very much the same idea. It's important as we look, he's saying, count it when we know that they do come. That's real. And if you've lived any length of time, from a young one to a more seasoned person, as many of us are, okay, that's real. But what am I doing to prepare for that? Do I just fly by the seat of my pants and just see, well, we'll see what happens if it comes? Or do I prepare? This is what James is saying. Count it a joy when it comes. How do I do that? How do I prepare for that? I might not know when it's going to happen, but I can be prepared. We'll pick back up on that tomorrow. But I want you to think about what I said. The difficult moments, the difficult challenges, the strain and the struggle of those can be the opportunity to have our greatest victory ever. I'm excited about what we're going to teach over these next several days. God bless you. Have a great day.